On the cold evening of February 9th, 2004, a young woman named Maura Murray disappeared on a remote road in Haverhill, New Hampshire. Maura was 21 years old, a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. She was intelligent, athletic, and, by all accounts, driven toward a bright future. But on that winter night, she would vanish without a trace, leaving behind more questions than answers. Maura's story began days earlier. On the night of February 5th, she was working a shift at her campus security job when she received a mysterious phone call. A co-worker would later recall that Maura was deeply upset by the conversation, breaking into tears and almost unable to speak. The reason for her distress has never been confirmed, but it was the first hint that something was wrong. 3 days later, on February 8th, Maura emailed her boyfriend, who was stationed at Fort Sill in Oklahoma, saying she'd been having some issues and would talk to him later. That same day, she searched online for directions to Burlington, Vermont, and checked lodging options in the area. Why Burlington? No one knows for certain. She hadn't told anyone she was planning to go there. The next day, Monday, February 9th, Maura emailed her professors to say there had been a death in the family and she would be out of class for the week. That claim was false. There was no family death. She also packed up some of her belongings, including personal items and toiletries, and removed a photo from her dorm room wall. Some saw this as a sign she didn't plan to return soon. At around 3:30 p.m., Maura withdrew $280 from an ATM, almost all the cash she had in her account. Surveillance footage showed her alone, dressed in a dark jacket. She then stopped at a nearby liquor store and purchased a small assortment of alcohol, including a box of wine. These purchases would later be found in her car. At approximately 7:27 p.m., Maura's black 1996 Saturn was found crashed on a sharp curve along Route 112 in Haverhill, New Hampshire, nearly 150 miles from her campus. A local bus driver who lived nearby, Butch Atwood, stopped to check on her. He later said Maura appeared shaken but uninjured and declined his offer to call 911, claiming she had already called AAA, a statement that was likely untrue since there was no record of such a call. When police arrived minutes later, Maura was gone. Inside the car, officers found the box of wine, some of the alcohol, and a soda bottle that smelled of liquor. The windshield was cracked, the airbags had deployed, and there was evidence the car had spun out. But there were no footprints leading away from the scene, only tire tracks from the responding vehicles and the bus driver's van. The nearest house was barely 100 yards away. The investigation quickly became a national story. Why was Maura in rural New Hampshire in the first place? Was she meeting someone, running from something? Theories flooded online forums: foul play, a voluntary disappearance, or an accident in the freezing wilderness. Over the following days, hundreds of volunteers, police officers, and search dogs scoured the area. Helicopters flew over the snow-covered landscape. Cadaver dogs alerted to a nearby river, leading to speculation she may have fallen in. But no body was ever found. Maura's family believed she met with foul play. Her father, Fred Murray, has spent years pushing for renewed searches and more aggressive investigation. Theories about a possible abductor emerged, fueled by reports of suspicious vehicles in the area that night. Others believed Maura might have wanted to start fresh, possibly struggling with personal issues and academic pressure. In the weeks before her disappearance, she had been involved in a minor car accident, faced potential disciplinary action for using a stolen credit card number, and seemed withdrawn from friends. But all of these clues only lead to dead ends. Over the years, the Maura Murray case has become one of the most discussed missing persons cases on the internet. Countless podcasts, documentaries, and online investigators have tried to piece together the puzzle. Yet despite thousands of hours of research, no definitive answers have emerged. Some investigators believe the timeline is crucial. If Maura left her dorm between 4:30 and 5 p.m., she would have driven in heavy winter darkness for hours before her accident. The exact reason she took Route 112 remains one of the biggest mysteries. Locals have pointed out that it's not the most direct route to Burlington, suggesting she may have been heading somewhere else entirely. Police records revealed that Maura had printed out directions to a rental condo in Bartlett, New Hampshire, days earlier. Was this her intended destination? Or was it a backup plan? The condo belonged to a family friend, and it raised new questions about whether someone knew she would be traveling. Witness statements also paint an eerie picture. Some residents claim to have seen a young woman matching Maura's description walking quickly away from the crash site. Others reported hearing what sounded like a second accident or loud thud shortly after the bus driver left the scene. None of these sightings could be confirmed. Adding to the intrigue, Maura's cell phone has never been recovered, and the last ping placed it nowhere near the crash site. If she had called for help, it's possible the call was made long before she reached Haverhill. Theories abound. She may have accepted a ride from a stranger, attempted to hide in the woods, or been picked up by someone she knew. The lack of footprints has puzzled experts, though snow conditions and darkness could explain why they weren't found. In recent years, true crime communities online have launched their own searches. Digital mapping, drone footage, and deep dive podcasts have all tried to piece together Maura's final hours. Still, no concrete evidence has surfaced. To this day, Maura Murray's disappearance remains unsolved. Her family continues to search for answers, holding annual vigils and urging anyone with information to come forward. Time has not erased the pain, nor the hope that one day the truth will be revealed. If you have any information about Maura Murray's disappearance, contact the New Hampshire Cold Case Unit. Every tip, no matter how small, could bring closure to a family that has been searching for over 2 decades.